What is happening, everyone? So today we're going to be having a quick little look on the Canon EOS R7, which I'm personally really interested ever since moving off from the Canon M50. So I'm really rooting for this camera to actually work out really well, because I can't wait to actually get my hands on one, especially since I will be comparing it directly to the Canon EOS R6. So just a little backstory, I actually moved away from the Canon M50 straight onto the Canon EOS R6, and the reason being is because there was nothing really on the market, especially in the aps-c world, that really intrigued me. And the reason being is because although the Canon M6 Mark II is a fantastic camera, the image quality wasn't really what I really wanted. I wanted to actually grade the footage, and although the camera from the M6 is really good, you know, the dynamic range was always limited since it didn't actually had any type of C-Log profile, and at the same time the low light performance wasn't exactly better than the Canon M50, and that's fundamentally the main reason why I actually moved away from the Canon M50 ecosystem. Ever since actually recording on the Canon EOS R6 countless videos, if you guys actually want to see a whole host of, you know, different settings of what I've actually used the Canon the R6 for, have a look at my YouTube page. You'll see all kinds of different settings in the environment that I've actually shot it. So this includes high contrasted areas, sunny days, you know, especially low light performance, which is a big deal for me because I like to shoot in low light environment. So in this situation, we're going to be having a quick little discussion about the Canon R7. I'm not going to look too much into the Canon EOS R10. The Canon EOS R10 and R7 is not really that far apart. You know, there has been speculations in regards to the Canon EOS R7 being around about 1800, and I was like, flipping it, that's a hell of a lot of money to ask for an aps-c camera, especially since the full frame R6 is so, you know, close together, to be honest, especially with the discount that they're going off for. I think it's around about £2,300 body only. But yeah, we'll talk about the price later on. But the good thing, let's just talk about it, you know, uncropped 4K 60. So it's full frame, not full frame, but it's basically using the entire frame, which is still a 1.6 time crop. I don't know why it's a 1.5, who knows, but it's still a 1.6 4K 60. Oversampled 4K 30 from 7K. You know, that's a big deal, especially since we're going to be talking about it. Yes, it has got C-Log 3. Hey, you okay? You okay? Yeah. So where was I? Yes, it's got the new hot shoe interface, which Canon EOS R3 again has. So get the little similarity here. It's like a little mini Canon EOS R3, especially when we're talking about the video aspect of it. Because the next thing is, of course, it's got IBIS. It's the first aps-c camera to actually have IBIS, along with, you know, all the rest of the cameras that Canon has actually produced ever since the Canon EOS R5 and R6. Apart from, of course, the R10 and R5C, most of their hybrid system right now have fully integrated into the IBIS system. The next thing, of course, 1080p 120 frames per second. Again, is something to expect. I wasn't expecting 4K, to be honest, but the fact that they've brought it back to the era of 2020, 2022 now, where quite a lot of aps-c cameras right now do 1080p 120 frames per second. I think Canon, bit late to the game, but the fact that they're here now, it's just a great thing. But again, all of this is pointless. We're talking about specs here, but we need to get more video centric, dedicated videos in regards to talking about all of this spec here, but we need some actual content in regards to seeing what that actually implies, because I really want to see what all of this actually rounds up to, you know. 2 SD card slots, fantastic. Again, it's a good thing, but I was actually intrigued, you know, with how fast it can actually shoot and, you know, everything like that. I wasn't expecting it to be 2 SD card slots, especially since there has been rumors that there's going to be a similar design like the Canon EOS R5. But yeah, good thing that it's got 2 SD card slots. Dual pixel autofocus, the 2nd gen. So again, you're watching me on dual pixel autofocus, so I can put anything in front. But as long as my face is in the frame and the camera can see it, you know, it's going to lock onto my face. No record limit. That's a huge deal, you know, because Other than the Canon EOS R3, the Canon R5 does actually have record limits. Canon EOS R6, again, record limit, which was a huge factor, but of course it's pointless having record limit removed completely if it overheats, which both cameras actually do. The Canon EOS R6 is plagued with overheating, not as bad as the Canon EOS R5. You know, it's got no overheating, and that's a huge thing, because if the camera can shoot in 4K up to 30 frames per second oversampled mode, right, in 10-bit 422, and that's another factor, this camera can shoot in 10-bit 422. Which, again, not a lot of cameras in aps-c world can actually do. A 4K oversampled, how glorious would that image actually look? Because the Canon EOS R6 can shoot up to 5.1K oversampled into 4K in C-Log3 10-bit 422. But yeah, speaking of, you know, 10-bit 422, the first one is, of course, the odd design. I'm not too sure how that dial at the top is going to actually feel. It might be natural, it might be something that you might get used to, but again, it's something that you have to consider. It's got no C-Log1. I think it's just going to be a firmware update. If people complain about it, enough people complain about it, then I don't see why Canon can't just add that on. It's because it's, you know, the same thing that has happened to the Canon EOS R5 and R6 later on. They both received a firmware update to bump it up to C-Log3. But the fact that the Canon EOS R7 can only do C-Log3 and not C-Log is kind of odd. But again, it's something that can be added onto a firmware update. See, now all of these specs are fantastic, but I feel kind of gutted because I definitely would have actually transitioned onto the Canon EOS R7 had that been released at the same time, or even maybe rumored to be released, maybe 6 months or even 12 months afterwards. I would have held off because the main reason is the price point is massive. It's retailed currently in the UK, body only, for $1,350, whereas the Canon EOS R6 was purchased at the time $2,500. That's a big gap. That's over £1,000 for not much difference when it comes to the video specs of it. I haven't talked too much greatly into the photo side of it, and the main reason is because I've never really complained about the photo side, even, you know, here with the Canon M50. This can still shoot fantastic, great photos. You know, it can still shoot RAW. It's quite fast at 10 frames per second, I think. So this little gem here is still fantastic. And that's the main reason why I still got it and pair it up with the Canon EOS R6 with a little adapter. And it's been fantastic. I've got some questions, you know. And the first thing is, because it shoots in 4K oversampled, will it record in H.26 file code? Will it record in that, and will it again brick the computer? Because every time I do upload 4K 60 especially, my laptop completely goes mental. It can still obviously source it out, but I have to wait a hell of a long time. But again, if it's got a fat bit rate and of course a juicy H.26 file code, then of course you've got something to worry about. Especially if you haven't got any type of M1 MacBook laptop, which I don't actually have. Is the oversampling 4K higher quality than the R6? That's definitely what I want to be looking into, because of course the camera which I'm recording on right now is the Canon R6, and it can record in 5.1K oversampling into 4K files. So the Canon EOS R7 is downsampling from 7K. So does that mean it's definitely sharper? It's got more, you know, megapixels. I think 32 or something like that. Yeah, 32.5 megapixels. You know, and also I want to see, because the Canon EOS R7 can actually shoot in crop mode as well, additional to, you know, the aps-c crop mode it's actually got. So what does that actually imply? Does that mean that the crop mode again is going to be super soft? All of these kind of things, it's going around in my head. So it's something that I really want to check out, and I really am hoping that someone like Gerald Undone actually makes a YouTube video about this, because I really want to see how good the image quality actually is, as opposed to just talking about the specs. I will make a separate video about, you know, what I personally feel about the Canon EOS R6 and coming from the Canon M50, which I still got, and do I kind of feel cheated in a way, you know, to upgrade way too high, since the Canon EOS R and RP seems to be completely useless to me. Do I feel that, you know, they kind of, you know, discontinued this long before, you know, they still haven't really announced it, to be honest, but the fact that I've moved from the Canon M50 to the R6 when I've really wanted that in a much more smaller compact. I don't really need the full frame, but the fact that I have transitioned over to the full frame, it's fantastic. I love this camera altogether, got nothing bad to say about this camera, but the fact that the R7 is so close when it comes to video specs, the photo specs, again, it's fantastic, but video specs, it's so close, but it's got over £1,000 difference. But again, it's a video that I will be doing in a separate, you know, YouTube video altogether. So stick around if you guys want to hear about that. But yeah, these are the questions that I really want answers for, and I will be searching through that. And I will make more YouTube video about the R7 and of course the R10 as well. And hopefully I can actually get one to review and obviously look into. So stick around, subscribe if you guys enjoyed this video. Comment down below if you've got any questions that you want me to, you know, look into, and hopefully reply as soon as possible. I will link all of my social contacts if you guys want to get in touch. And of course, hopefully you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, and I will see you guys in the next one.